Today I'm going to show you a very brief demonstration about prime and composite numbers. I'm going to give you the definition and give you a few examples of what a prime number is and what a composite number is. Read the definition you see on the board here. A prime number is a whole number that has exactly two unique factors, 1 and itself. So 5 is a prime number. That's an example. A composite number is a whole number that has more than two factors. The numbers 6 and 8 are composite. The numbers 0 and 1 are neither prime nor composite. Make sure you write down a definition for a prime number and a definition for a composite number. So, to summarize, a prime number has exactly two factors. In other words, there are two numbers that go into a prime number evenly, exactly two. The number 1, because 1 goes into any number evenly, and the number itself. When you think of the number 5, 5 is prime, because only 1 and 5 go into 5. Think of the number 23. 23 is prime, because only 1 and 23 go into 23 evenly. To summarize composite numbers, they have more than two factors. So any number you can think of that has a number other than 1 in itself that goes into it is composite. 6, for example, is composite because 1 goes into 6, 2 goes into 6, 3 goes into 6, and then obviously 6 goes into 6. So it has 4 factors. As long as it has more than 2 factors, it's composite. Make sure you write down these definitions. 0 is neither prime nor composite because it has no factors. There is no number that goes into 0. Same thing with 1. 1 is neither prime nor composite because it only has one factor. The only number that goes into 1 evenly is 1. In order to be prime, it has to have at least 2 factors. So let's take a look at some examples here in the chart. Okay, prime numbers. Here are some examples of prime numbers. 2, 3, 5. I could add some bigger ones in there. Why don't you think of an example of a prime number right now? And then test it. Does it truly only have 2 factors? Like 2 only has 1 and 2. 3 only has 1 and 3. 5 only has 1 and 5 that go into them. And these are pretty small numbers. We could add a few more. I already mentioned the number 23 because it only has 2 factors, 1 and 23. So composite, we already mentioned 6 and 8. 4 is another example of a composite number. Look at all the factors of these. If it has more than 2, it is a composite number. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these examples. What do you have to be able to do? You have to be able to look at a number and identify whether it's prime or composite. We'll take a look at the number 15. If you can think of a number that goes into 15 other than 1 and 15, then it's composite. And in this case, if we were to list the factors of 15, we would get 1, 15, and 3 times 5 is 15. That makes 15 a composite number. Okay, so it is a composite number. 23, I already mentioned. 23 is composite because only 1 and 23 go into 23. So why don't you think about the 2 numbers at the bottom here, and why don't you see if you can figure out whether 37 and 22 are prime or composite. Pause the video. Right, hopefully you've had a chance to think about these 2 numbers. Could you think of a factor for 37 other than 1 and 37? That answer is no, which means 37 is a prime number. Could you think of a factor for 22 other than 1 and 22? 1 times 22 is 22, obviously, but there are other ones. 2 times 11, and you can make a little factor rainbow to find the matches if you had to. So this is a composite number. If it has more than 2 factors, it's composite. Now remember, here's a little handy fact, any even number, a number that ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, any even number other than 2 is going to be composite because they're all divisible by 2. 2 is the only even number that's prime because if you think about it, it only has 2 factors, 1 and itself. So 2 is prime. Every other even number is composite. Does that mean all odd numbers are prime? Absolutely not. We just saw an example. 15 is an odd number, but that's not prime, it's composite. So there are more likely to be odd numbers that are prime, but not all odd numbers are prime. I'll give you another example of an odd number, 49. If you don't know your times tables, you might look at that and go, oh, yeah, maybe that's prime. But if you know your times tables, you know that 1 and 7 goes into 49. 7 times 7 is 49. So even though it doesn't have many factors, it has more than 2. So that makes it a composite number. All right, bring your notes tomorrow and we'll practice identifying prime and composite numbers.